Okay, I think it's time for us to start. Yes. Okay, so we will start. Hopefully everything is all right. Yes. Okay, so we saw the first 18 shlokas in chapter 10, Vibhuti Yoga. If you think a little bit deeply, every one of us, no matter what state we are in and what level of development we have had, what stage of personality growth, spiritual growth, material growth, whichever way you take it, I think there is one question which we cannot run away from. We have to answer that question. And that question is, who am I? What is this whole this world, God and Jiva, Jagat and it? I don't think we can run away from that question. We can postpone it till this lifetime, postpone it for several lifetimes and all that. So all these scriptures are saying that you cannot escape that. You have to address that question. For many of us, the question doesn't even open up. It takes a while before the question opens up. And it takes a lot more time after the question opens up. But I don't think anybody can run away from this question. We need to answer, who am I? Where have I come and where am I going? It is not just this life. That is a too simplistic an assumption. Now the scriptures, our Shruti, which is the Upanishads and all that, our Shruti is only giving us some guidelines as to how we can go about understanding the question and perhaps the answer. Understanding the answer, not knowing the answer. Knowing the answer is anubhuti. She is developing an insight into what could be the answer that we are looking for. So if you look at that, I think it all starts with Ekarupa. I was just hearing Swami Paramarthananda and this idea was very appealing. I thought I must share this with you. He says we go through a 3-stage process in this journey. Once we know that the question is in front of us and all that, he says we start with Ekarupa Bhakti. There is an Ishta Devata, there is one God, form or name which is easy. That's why Dhyana Yoga in the first triplet last chapter push that idea a little bit. Ekasesha Bhakti, right? Have a Ekarupa Bhakti. Develop a notion of an Ishta Devata and do some Upasana. Maybe that takes us. He says this journey from Ekarupa Bhakti must over a period of time, eventually must get into Anekarupa Bhakti. And that is what is happening in this triplet. Anekarupa Bhakti will come only when we understand the law of conservation of divinity and experience it. That is Anekarupa Bhakti. It's not just one Ishta Devata, which may continue to be there, but the scope will enlarge. We should be able to see God everywhere and in everything. That is what is the process we are going through. Vibhuti Yoga is also giving us ideas on that in a more illustrative way and so on. Then he says the third, this we have to get accustomed to this and understand and experience this Anekarupa Bhakti, and that should lead us to Arupa Bhakti. This is Nirguna. This is the final, which is you discover it within yourself, for which there is no name, shape, no indication of anything. It's a mere experience. Prajnana Ghanam. That's the word used. It's nothing but Prajnana. It's just consciousness and nothing else. So it is that journey which we will have to go. So we are in the second triplet, which is pushing us towards the Aneka Rupa Bhakti. That's where we have, seen the notion of Bhakti, Matta Parataram Nanyat and all that. We saw the 18 shlokas and we ended last class by this Arjuna's question, tell me your Vibhuti. I would like to hear again, Bhuya Eva. Once again I want to hear because I am not satisfied. It's so good I want to hear more. That's where we stopped the discussion last class. So just to recollect again, Vibhuti is the joyful manifestation of the divinity or the infinity. That is the meaning of Vibhuti. The infinity manifests so beautifully everywhere. Our ability to see that is Vibhuti. Our ability to appreciate that and experience that is indeed Vibhuti Yoga. Is indeed Vibhuti. So it is the indications, so that infinite power is indicating in many ways. That is what Sri Krishna is trying to reveal to us, taking a very small sample of about 72 or 75 items. And that is the more practical expression of this governing shloka for the second triplet. Matta parataram na anyadasti dhananjaya mayi sarvamitam protam sutre maniganaya. Whole world is me. Everything, karya, karana, everything is myself. Efficient cause, material cause, everything is myself. That's what he said. That is the process we are going through in several ways in the last 4 chapters. So we have seen 18 shlokas, but the Vibhuti Yoga are explained in these 21 shlokas. This is the crux of the chapter. Shloka 19 to 39, where Lord Krishna is actually pointing to a sample of these divine creations. How do these divine creations actually are there? So that's the question which Arjuna asked. We will see that. Now before I start, I would like to clarify one thing. When he says world is nothing but divinity, what you will find here are descriptions of best in class. It's like a benchmark. This is a chapter called benchmarking. If you have to use your modern management word to describe, Krishna picks up best in class in every category and says, see me there. That is what he is doing. Now this will immediately bring a question in our mind. If the world is everywhere, it is God, why is he biased? Evil is also God. He could have shown a few examples of evils, he has not. I am not even going to the continuum, other end of the continuum called evil. He could have shown some sada sida. Even that he didn't do. He took the best in class in each category. Question is why? Because unless we resolve this, we will be not fully convinced. We may always think that it seems to be, even Krishna is biased. He wants to talk about only good people, and good in the sense prominent. Now if you look at this, first of all, this is a very efficient and natural way of doing it. If you can't enumerate everything, just think about this idea. Suppose I need to enumerate something, and that something is infinite. So enumeration of all of them is not possible. So the question now comes to selection. So the question we are asking is, what is it that I should select? Now, when we want to show, if somebody comes to the institution, we want to show the best employee. It doesn't mean we have disowned all the employees. Everybody understands it very well. If, in the olden days when the inspector comes to the class, the bright student was asked a question and the bright student answered the question, and so the inspector hopefully had a good impression of the class. The purpose may be different, but the point I am making is we must understand, see, when you have to take a sample and say this is where I am, we must be able to take we should ask, why are we actually taking the sample? First, the sample is required for me to get inspired. The purpose is different. The purpose is, I want you to be inspired. I want you to look upon. I want you to say, oh, this is what I must become. So it is not a very, biased idea. It is not a stage managed idea. The idea is, we want to show the best in class because the very idea is we want to be inspired. The sadha is a stage of evolution which has more ground to cover. So we are not discounting or looking down upon. We are saying this is your reference. Particularly when you are in great demand of time, you have to pick one here and there. Pick the best so that it inspires people. So we don't have to really feel this is a very biased idea. I think it is a very sensible idea that we should be able to look upon something which must inspire us, which must give us that kind of energy to travel as far as we can. That's why, in quality management literature, they say the goal is zero defects. Because the notion of perfection is a very inspiring idea. It's not that organization will reach zero defects tomorrow, but you need that. The reference point must be the ultimate. That is the reason you will find. In no way it is contradictory with the earliest shloka which I said, Matta parataram na anyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. Whole world is only divinity, so evil, good, ordinary, extraordinary, superlative, all are divinity. Still, if you ask me to quickly pick 10, I will pick the best 10 because I want you to get inspired and know what should I pitch me against. What should I aspire to be? Purpose is that, and that is why such a selection happens. We should not bring our Veda Bhava into it and start thinking this is all very biased. That's all we can think. So sometimes. So we look at everything through that lens. We don't have to do it like that. I think here the idea is to inspire. Is to give a reference frame which is tall enough for us to put our energy and get inspired and reach that position of that. In our Puranas, and there are a lot of references in Puranas, so we need a lot of Puranas to, so I am not going to say, I will simply say the list and go, because we need to then talk a lot of Puranas. But in Puranas, as Swami Paramahansa again was saying, there are two very, very powerful stories. Popular stories, powerful stories. One is Ganga Avatarana. This whole story of how the Akash Ganga, when Sagaraputras, 1,000 of them were burnt. That's the story. And Kapila was doing his penance and this Ashwamedha, hearts was going around. Indra was very worried. So therefore, Indra didn't know what to do. So he picked this hearts and hid it. He was hiding it in Patala where Kapila was doing. All those stories we know. And then how the Bhagirata Prayatna happened. So that's one story. In fact, some characters out of that will come in this reference. We need to appreciate all those stories to know that they are best in class. So I will not make an attempt, but I just wanted to, in passing, connect you to those reference points. The second story, which is very popular apparently in our mythological thing, is Samudra Matana. Because, 14 holy things came out of this. Whole Samudra Matana itself is a story where the ocean of milk was to be churned, and so Devas and Asuras, we know the story. But there is some thread common between these two apparently unrelated stories. And the common thread is lot of perseverance is required to excel in what we want to achieve in life. That's the common thread between the two, but other than that there are stories. So many of those characters are part of this list. I thought I will just make a mention of that because unless we know those, and I think in order to appreciate many of these references that Sri Krishna has taken, we need to have a good Puranic knowledge. But anyway, I thought I will give that background. So I will quickly go through those 3 shlokas in which Arjuna asked that question. He said, Vattum arhasi aseshena Divya hi Atma Vibhutayah Yabihi Vibhutibihi Lokan Imam Stvam Vyapya Tishtasi. It is that Vibhuti, with that you have pervaded this Loka, this universe, not just Bhuloka, universe. Says, Imam Lokan. So Bhuloka, Bhurloka, there are 7 lokas here, 7 lokas down, 14 lokas. It's the universe. So tell me those holy, divine manifestations of yours without missing anything, Aseshena. With that you are actually pervading this whole universe that is there. That's a question he asked. Katam vidyamaham yogin tvam sada parichintayan. How can I can fix my thought on you all the time? Sada parichintayan. Because ananya chintayanto mam ye jana paripasate tesham nitya abhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyam is what he said. So ananya chinta, how can I develop that? Nitya abhiyukta bhava, how do I develop? That's why he is asking, tell me, how do I sada parichintayantuam? Keshu keshu cha bhaveshu chintyosi. What are all the ways by which I can think about you? Is it just one Ishta Devata or one Om? Or is there more? How do I actually contemplate on you? Bhagavan, Maya Chintyosi. How can you be meditated by me? That's a question he asked. Then the third question he asked, the third observation he made is Vistarena Atmano Yogam Vibhutim Cha Janardana Bhuyaha Kataya. Tell again. You have said, but please tell again. Vistarena Atmano Yogam. This great idea that you have your own Atma Yoga, Vibhutim Cha Janardana, Bhuyaha Kataya. Why? Because Triptihi Nasti. I am not satisfied yet. Triptihi Nasti Shunvato Me Amritam. This is like Amrita, but my hearing has not, my desire to hear has not subsided yet. So please tell me again. You have said, but please tell me again. Those are the 3 points with which we closed last class, and in reply to it, Sri Krishna takes certain. Now what I have done, I am not going shloka wise. I have reclassified all the shlokas in categories. I could have done shloka wise, but since it's a one session, if it's a regular session, I would have taken one shloka and little bit I would have gone. I have reclassified all the shlokas except 2 shlokas at the beginning. The rest are all I have classified because you will see categories after categories in which he has actually mentioned. So we will see it that way, So Sri Krishna replied, Sri Bhagavan Vacha, Hantate Katayishyami Divya Hi Atma Vibhutayah Pradhanyatah. I can't tell you everything. Prominent. That's why I take the best in class. Because the time is less, I have to pick 1 out of 100. It's always good to pick the best so that you get inspired, you want to be like that. So Pradhanyatah Purusreshta. Why? Because Nasti Antyo Vistarasya Me. If I start telling Vistarena, if I detail it out, there is no end to it. Nasti Antya. There is no end to it. So therefore I can't tell you in great detail. Therefore, Pradhanyatah Katayishyami. I will tell some important, prominent things. Although you asked Vistarena, Aseshena, all that you said, that's too much. I can't do that. Because now he has to talk about these 6 billion or 4 billion unique individuals who are called human beings. And I don't know how many billion creatures, variety in plant kingdom, animal kingdom, and Chetana, Achetana, Chitchakti, Chetana, Rupa, everything has to be told. And each one of them you have to enumerate and tell is not going to work. So I can't tell you all that. Therefore, Pradhanyatah Purusreshta, I will tell you Divya Hi Atma Vibhutya, this divine manifestation of mine. I will pick a few samples here and there. And I will tell you. That's how he started. Then he says, the first and the last shlokas are very powerful. So I have kept them as such. It says, Ahamatma Gudakesha Sarva Bhutashaya Stitah Ahamadischa Madhyamcha Bhutanam Antamevacha. So first he maps a universal set. He says, if you can contemplate on this universal set, do it. I will also get into detail. So what is he saying? Ahamatma, hey Gudakesha. Gudakesha has two meanings. Gudakanam Isha, one who is the lord of sleep. So Arjuna has overcome sleep. Gudaka is sleep. Gudakanam Isha Gudakesha, or one who has a matted hair. Kesha, Gudakesha. Classic is such a powerful language. You know, there are many ways by which you can actually understand the meaning. Gudakesha, Gudakanam Isha. Anyway. So he says, I am the Atma of Sarva Bhuta. In the heart of every Bhuta, you have to see me. So he has now pointed to infinity now. He said Sarva Bhutanam. He never said Sarva Lokanam or Sarva Manushyanam, Sarva Jivitanam, like that, all that he never said. Sarva Bhutanam Ashaya. Sarva Bhutanam Ashaya Stitah. In the heart of every manifestation, every Sakala Jiva Rashi that you see, Jiva Rashi includes plants also, they also have life. Don't think it is only man and animal kingdom. Plant kingdom also has life. They also, belong to this definition, and also the, Jada Shakti also is there. All those are included in this, right? Aham Atma, I am the Atman. So this is a very, very down to earth idea, but a profound idea. We have to understand this is first a down to earth idea. Because you must ask, what am I made of? You have to do Nirakara. You have to keep on asking, is this I, is this I, is this I? But our entire argument is what is called Neti. You cannot find what you are, but you have to dismiss what you are not. Na iti, na iti. Neti, neti. It's called Neti Vada. You have to keep on peeling. This is not me. For example, you can say body is not me. It's not very difficult to argue this. Because in dream sleep, where was your body? Where was this body? Body was not there. Only mind was there. Mind and Atman were there in dream sleep. In dream sleep, and dream sleep will completely destroy all forms of science and put trouble. Because in dream, imagine I have a dream. The dream is that I am taking my operations management class, 70 people are sitting. This is my dream. Let me describe a dream. I take a class in IAM. There are 70 students sitting, one student is sleeping, snoring. So I go and then, dream, anything can happen. And then I go and ask him, why are you disturbing the class? And then I, ask him to go away. And then he, says something. You can get, a lot of, different kinds of ideas in the dream. Now look at it. There is not a single body in the dream, but there are about 100 bodies now, 75 bodies. And those 75 bodies are supplied by, I don't know whom, not this body is inert. Then while I am doing it, suddenly the dream may go in such a way that sometimes dreams are also very unconnected. Then I catch a train, I don't know how this catching train came. I catch a train and then I go to Chennai and then meet my parents. We have all these kinds of dreams. Now, so many, so I am there. I brought some 100 entities, I brought a Vrindavan Express, I bought a Air India Spice Jet plane and they served me something in the plane. So many things happen. All of them, where are they coming from? But the interesting part is all of them came, but this body was not there anyway. Was simply not there. So you can very easily say I am not the body. Actually it is much easier to say I am not the mind also. Because once you slip into deep sleep, Shushupti, once you are in deep sleep, who are you? At least in dream, there was the I-ness. I was there, I was very interesting. I was the dreamer, I was the dreamt, I was the inferer, I was inferring, I was the object inferred, I was the subject inferring, everything is I in dream. And that itself is a complex science to solve. Science, I don't know how it will solve it, but anyway. So I am observer, observed, everything is me. And I was able to create which science cannot create. I can create 70 people just like that. And have a very meaningful conversation until the dream happened, it was very real. Only when you woke up, it was not. And you recollect. So you can't dismiss this. It is very much that you say, I had a dream. That means there is a certain level of reality to it. Transient reality. Now if you go to deep sleep, that manas is also gone. Body is inert. The mind is also inert. That is why in deep sleep, in fact this can be understood in deep sleep. In deep sleep, the Samrat of the country, let's say, Narendra Modi is probably the Samrat for the moment. Narendra Modi can sleep here. By the side of him, I can sleep. The third, there can be a dog. On the fourth, there can be a pauper. On this side, there can be a biggest criminal, the DIG of police. All of us can sleep. All of us will be identical.
Even Barack Obama can sleep.
Everybody, you can bring. The dream is now gone. You can line up everybody. A few animals, all kinds of people, you can make all of them sleep. If all of them wake up, I am talking about only the deep sleep, not the dream. You analyze only the deep sleep part of it. In the deep sleep part of it, when all of us woke up, there is one thing which is very surprising. The dog cannot articulate, the tree which sleeps cannot articulate, but they have the same experience. The experience is, I had a good sleep. Deep sleep can be explained only in past tense. You cannot explain it in present tense. The moment you express in past tense, the question is, you are the biggest cheat now because you are not there. Your body was not there, your mind was not there. How did you say you slept? You didn't know. You say, I didn't know anything. You had the audacity to say, you have known that you didn't know anything. Look at the paradox in this statement. I didn't know anything. That means I am saying, I know I did. That's how I should prefix it. I know I didn't know anything. This is a conflict. In other words, why are we saying all that? There is a sakshi. There is a sakshi. That is why we are saying. So that is what he is referring to. That is what he is referring to. You take another example. There are many ways you can say, I am not this, I am not this. You have to keep on peeling up the layers. Then who am I will still not be answered. But at least we know, neti, neti. This is not, this is not, this is not. Just think about 5 people here in this classroom. One person who by God's grace is normal in everything. Second person is blind. Third person is blind and dumb. He has no power of hearing, he has no power of seeing. Fourth person is blind, dumb, and both the lower limbs are gone. Amputated, he had an accident. Fifth person is here who is blind, dumb, upper limbs are gone, lower limbs are gone. You just ask him that eye will never, the last person's eye may not be 20% of the first person's eye. Just think about it. The fourth person's eye will not be 40% of the first person's eye because he has 40% of physicality gone. Our eye rises with all its power, no matter what deformities you see in all those which are transient. This is the second example. So a blind's eye and ahankara could be as good as ours. If there was at all a meter which we can measure, it will rock the same way. So there is something behind all these which is I. Think about the third example. If I have to point you as I, all that I need is I need a very small needle. I touch a slightest part of your body, your I-ness will be aroused. It's not that if you take a sledgehammer, your I-ness is much more aroused, and if you take a small tiny needle and touch you, the I-ness arising is proportional to the surface area you touch. No. So the eye is nothing to do with all this. Take one more example. You please take your photograph every 2 years. Right? Everything else has changed there. At the age of 90, the 1-year child photograph of yours is nonsense. If you really ask me, what is that? Still the grandfather tells the grandchildren, this is me, my photo. That's the biggest joke on earth. Because the child also has to nod its head and understand, oh, this is Tata's photo. So everything changed. I developed wrinkles on my skin. I have become very, bony. Still, this eye is. So again, the eye, I don't say eye in a very feeble way. I say eye the same way. So the point, that is what he is pointing. There is something which is energizing what you apparently see. And this is true of not just me. It is true of the dog. It is true of the tree. It is true of the rocks and the rivers and everywhere. There is something which is energizing every entity in this world. That's what in Lalita Sahasranama says, Chit Shakti Chetana Rupa Jada Shakti Jadatmika. Everywhere there is some energy which actually makes it. If you take the energy, you take the prana, it is pulling the blood. That's what he is saying. And exactly that's why he says, Aham Adischa Madhyam Cha Bhutanam Ante Evacha. So the very word Bhuta belongs to Prakriti. Nashya. It will get destroyed. The very definition of Bhuta is that which is subjected to physical laws. So Asti, there are 6 forms. Asti, Jayate, Vardayate, Parinayate, Sirshyate, Mriyate. There are 6 forms. All, anything which is in the domain of Bhuta, Kshetra, in chapter 13 we are going to see the definition of Kshetra. Anything which is called Bhuta will have to go through a 6-stage process from Janma to Mrityu. In between, Jara and Vyadhi will be part of this. In fact, that is what Gautama Buddha asked. He says, will there be a Ishta Jananam Viyogaha Yatra Nasti? Mrityu Yogaha Nasti. He says, can you tell me that there will be no Jara and Mrityu? Can you tell me that I will not lose my beloved people? Then I am willing to walk into the world of Vyavahara. This is what Buddha asked. He said, can you see, the costliest, the richest person will also die. He may probably die on a golden cot. And the pauper may die on the mud floor. Janma will lead to Mrityu. In between Jara and Vyadhi are part of that. So he says, this temporary beginning, Madhya and the end, in all that I am there. That means I am the constant in these variables. That's what he is saying. So this is a fundamental paradigm he is saying. He is talking about Srishti, Sthiti, Laya, in which I am there. If you take it to the cosmos, instead of taking it to an individual, if you take it to a larger system, that's called Srishti, Sthiti and Laya. In all that I am there. So where am I not there? You please show me where I am not. Because he said, I am not saying, you are saying. You said I, na? You said I in all these 5 examples, your I-ness never changed. Where is this I? Who is supplying this I? Body cannot supply the I. The changing age cannot supply the I. The deformities in the body cannot supply the I. The mind cannot supply the I. The Indriyas cannot supply the I. Where is this I? He says, that I is me. So that is what he is saying in this shloka. He lays the paradigm first. And this is an issue which we need to contemplate. Everywhere we should be able to see the I-ness. And that I-ness is, he says, Ahamatma Gudakesha Sarva Bhutashaya Stitaha Ahamadischa Madhyam Cha Bhutanam Antamevacha. That is what he is saying through this shloka. This is a broad paradigm he left. Then from next shloka onwards he got into specific examples. I have reclassified all of them in different formats. So we'll see in that format. Anyway, Ahamatma Sarvabhutashaya Stitaha is there in every Upanishad. It is articulated. Shruti is full of this. Yeah, they are indicating this again and again in many ways. They are saying contemplate, or rishis are saying contemplate on this idea. I mean, it is a very practical idea. They are not saying rocket science. They are not saying which you cannot even comprehend. They are talking what is in your pratyaksha anubhava. They have not gone out of your pratyaksha. In fact, the entire Shruti and Upanishads and even the Purana and all those are sometimes may look like a mythological story. That is a Sthula Tattva. If you get into the Sukshma Tattva, it is pratyaksha anubhava. From that only all these are to be understood, and we have our own quota of experience. See, all that I have said so far are what we know in our experience. I am only using that. He says, Yasmin Dhyauhu Prithvi cha Antariksham Otam Manaha Saha Pranaischa Sarvaihi Tameva Ekam Janata. In whom all these are there. Dhyauhu, the interspace, Prithvi, right? Which is the earth, Antariksham, Manaha, Pranaha, Sarvai. All these are from that one entity. Tameva ekam janata, if somebody knows that, somebody has understood that, knows in the sense, experientially feels that, what will happen to him? He says, Atmanam anyavacho vimuchyata. He stops talking. There is nothing more to actually explore. He has explored. Right? Amrutasya yesha setu. This is a bridge for immortality. The bridge for immortality is this knowledge. A person who gets this knowledge, he says, will vacho vimuchyata. He silences because he has experienced, he silences. He doesn't have to talk. Talk in the sense, he doesn't talk actually should not be taken in a figurative meaning. Essentially what it says is, will do in the worldly things whatever is required, but that is not something he is worried about. He has got what he got, so he will keep doing what needs to be done. As the demand requires, he will do. There is no, aversion and attachment kind of issue. They are all pulled out because of the other knowledge. What he is saying here, Taittiriya Upanishad says, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Satyam Jnanam and Anantam Brahma. Yo Veda Nihitam Guhayam Parame Vyoman. That which is in this Chetak Kuhara, in this space, in your heart, it is there, it is also pervading everywhere. That's what it says. Understand that Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, Yaha Veda, that has one who understands it as what? Nihitam Guhayam. It is in the innermost cave. Right? Parame Vyoman. Everywhere it is pervading. So that is what, in different ways it goes on. This is the second chapter. Brigavali, in which all these are, Brahmanandavali, in which all these are explained. Then there are many slokas in which different things are told. I have now categorized them. Much easier for us to go that way rather than going shloka by shloka. So there is a set of references to celestial gods, the best in class. Examples are there. He says, Adhyatma Aham Vishnuhu. In Vishnu Purana, there are 12 names for Adityas. Simple science also. The sun in the month of May in northern hemisphere is very, very, radiant and very, powerful in that sense of the term. The winter sun is a little feeble, even if you look at it that way. So there are 12 Adityas, and amongst them Vishnu. I am the Vishnu. So you will have to go back to all these Puranas and read why that is the best in class. I am not going to do it. Here and there I may touch, but let's not get into it in great detail. Rudranam Shankarascha. There are 11 forms of Rudras. That's why Rudra Ekadashi they do. There are 11 forms of Rudra. That's why they contemplate on the 11 forms of Rudra, why it's called Rudra Ekasini. Right? So that's what they do, 11 times Rudra. On those he says, I am Shankara. I don't remember all the names. I have to know all the names. I am not able to tell you the names. But of those 11 Rudras, I am Shankara. Shankara is a very, very special word. No? Sham Karoti iti Shankara. Sham is Mangala. So Sham Karoti iti Shankara. One who does good. So Rudra is one who makes you cry. Ismat Rodram Dasmat Rudra is, there are different ways to actually understand. Rudra is a very, one understanding of Rudra is a fierce form. Fierce form. But anyway, Shankara means Sham Karoti iti Shankara. So he says Rudranam Shankaras Chasmi, Vasunam Pavakas Chasmi. There are Ashta Vasus. There are 8 Vasus. You have water, air, then Dhyau, Antariksham, Chandrama, Surya, Nakshatra and Agni. So of all those 8 Vasus, he says, I am Agni. Actually, this first I colored this 4. I will come to it. Then he says, Devanam, amongst the Devas I am Indra. Vasava is Indra. Devanam Vasavaha, Devanam Asmi Vasavaha. Actually, see, now we have in the last about 2000 years or 2500 years, I mean, if you read Aryan, Indus Valley and all that, you may get a sense of it. We have moved from the Vedic gods to Puranic gods. That shift has happened. But if you go 2500 years back, you find the gods' name are all Vasu, Rudran, Prajapati, Aditya, Varuna, Indra. These are all natural gods. You know, Varuna is the lord of rain. Vayu, right? Parjanya is actually the cloud and the rain in its immediacy and so on. We have that pantheon. So some of them are from there, some of them are from. So I think in the last 2000 years from the Vedic lore, our notion has moved a little bit of Idihasa and Purana type of gods. That the gods that we worship are of that variety now. But if you do a Pitrakarya, they Vasun, Rudran, Adityan is what they again and again, you know, those who do might know it. They say Vasun, Rudran and Adityan. These 3 are what they actually say. See, in our Vedic lore, there are 33 prominent gods. There are 12 Adityas. Okay? There are 11 Rudras. There are 8 Vasus. That makes it 31. Okay? Then Indra is the other, 32. Prajapati is the other, 33. So these 33 were the original main important basic elements or gods, whatever you want to call it. That's how that's why all these are coming from there. So that out of the 33 gods is this 330 million gods, which our pantheon is 330 million. 33 kodi anta heltare, 33 crores, which is 330 million. That comes from these basic 33 gods, which has Vasun, Rudran, Adityan, Indra and Prajapati. That's why I colored these. This belongs to the 32 out of 33. It's what it talks about here. Marichihi Marutam Asmi. There are 49 Maruts. There are wind gods. Of the 49 Maruts, I am Marichi. Again, we have to go and read the reference and understand why Marichi is special, or you know, the best of the lot. It's all benchmarking examples here actually. So Marichir Marutam Asmi, Jyotisham Ravihi Amshuman. He says, I am the son of all that which is bright. Now the point is, all these as a very relative reference to this loka, because for us the most important manifestation, the most direct manifestation of living God is sun. For this planetary system in which we are, sun is the most direct manifestation of living God. Without sun, I mean, science also says the same thing. Without sun, nothing is going to happen. Sun can, if it moves an inch away or comes closer, that's the end of the pralaya will happen. So it is such a very, very important in our scheme of things. So if at all we have a sense of gratitude or thanksgiving, the top of the list is sun. That's why we have Sandhya Vandana. Our ancestors are not jokers. They had such a sense of thanksgiving and gratitude. Because this world, this mortal world in which all that you do in the name of science, your material prosperity, the starting point is sun. Everything is sun. There's a National Geographic magazine in which he says you eat sun, you wear sun, you breathe sun. Everything is sun. What I wear is sun. You have to go back to the roots of science to understand it. So sun, that's why Aditya is the most pratyaksha devata for us. That's why our ancestors said, have the habit of at least saying thank you 3 times a day. You must be saying 24/7. 3 times a day with reverence can you say thank you, because I am living here, I am talking here, I am eating and I am going back and forth. Your petrol comes from sun only. Even if you want to go home, you need sun. That is the situation.
Every living organism eats and different form of sun.
Yeah, we eat, we breathe, we live sun. That's what there is a 1923 National Geographic magazine article in which one American was writing it. That is the prominence we have for sun. That's why I believe Sandhya Vandana is very important. That's why all the three Varnas will do Sandhya Vandana. People who are all in work only, you have to exempt them from doing. Because for them, through work, they have achieved their ultimate. So the Chaturtha Varna, you don't subject them to any of these constraints because they are really putting work and we have to celebrate them for that. Don't constrain them. All others must take off time and worship sun. Today, even the first Varna is not doing Sandhya Vandana. Leave alone the second Varna and third Varna. First Varna itself is not doing Sandhya Vandana. It's like that. We have so much of sense of gratitude. Jyotihi Raviram Shuman, Nakshatranam Aham Shashi. So nakshatras are all those which are illuminating bodies, which means planet, stars and moon. These are all from our reference, from this mortal world. From this mortal world, you see only these three as illuminating bodies in the night. Prominent among them is moon. That's why Devi in Shivananda, in Saundarya, Sharat Chandra Vadana is the description. Because moon attracts everyone by its grandeur. These are all from our reference. So that's why Nakshatranam Aham Sashi. That may appeal us much better. Because several light years away there is a star which will pale moon in terms of its Jyoti, but that is of no consequence to me. I cannot even appreciate that. I can only appreciate what I can. So that's it. Nakshatranam Aham Sashi. Varno Yadasam Aham. Of all water related things I am the Varna. That's what he says. Anything to do with water, the ultimate thing is Varna. So you can see me there as the best in class in that. Varno Yadasamaham. Pavanaha Pavatamasmi. In those set of things which are supposed to purify. Right? Those which are supposed to purify, he says, I am the air. Because air is the ultimate purifier. Even fire has to draw from air only. Without air there is no fire. That's why in Taittiriya Upanishad it says, Akashat Vayuhu Vayor Agnihi Agnerapah Apa Prithivyayi Prithivyam Oshadayah Oshadi Bhyonnam Annat Purushah. There is an order. Akashat Vayu. From space you have, only when you have space you have gaseous system. Vayor Agnihi. Your Agni will come only out of air. So the purification of Agni is a derived purification of the air. That's why this is a superset. Vayor Agnihi Agnerapah. The water is nothing but the condensation cycle which is created by the heat. Without heat, water will not be there. Water requires heat. There is no water. This whole cycle is through heating process. That's why Agneha Apaha Apa Prithvi. The earth is with all its prosperity only when you have water. I mean, these are all and you have to put and actually. It's not just that. When all these elements are there, earth is really, Shreyas. It's all about, So, then, Prithivyam Oshadaya. With all these, you will get all these plant kingdom. Oshadi Bhyonnam. Food comes only from plant kingdom. Annat Purusha. That's how it goes. Anyway, so, air is the ultimate of all the purifier. In all purifying things, I am the air. I am the reference. Is what he is saying.
Even one sloka in Gita is sequence.
Yes. Yeah, in chapter 3 is that. Pajanyas Anna Sambhava, Yajna, Karma and all that. Vittesho Yaksha Rakshasam. Vittanam Isha, Lord of Wealth, Kubera. Vittanam Isha, Vittesha. So I am the Lord of Wealth. In that group, see, in our scheme of things, these are all again mythological stories and Puranas in which all these. So in Devaloka, there are Devas, there are Yakshas, there are Rakshasas, Kinnaras, Nagas, there are so many type of people. Gandharva is also there. These are all art loving people. So there is a different classification of things. So he is taking in each class. I have not read all these stories, so Chitraratha is probably the king of all the Gandharvas or something. Quite often it may be the lord or the king of that loka. I am only guessing. I do not really know. So he says amongst the Yakshas.
Gandharvas are like typically musicians.
art. You see that art forms.
Any art.
Musicians, dance, all those are part of it. So amongst the yakshas and rakshasas, kinnaras, there are so many words, you know, they are all
Kimpurushas.
Yeah, Kimpurushas. So I am the, Kubera amongst them. Senani nam aham skanda, because he is the Deva Senadipati. Skanda is the Deva Senadipati. So he says, I am amongst, if you think of army, I am the lord of all the armies, which is Skanda, Guha. So that is what he says. Senani nam aham skanda. Gandharvanam Chitraratha. Amongst the Gandharvas I am Chitraratha. I really. Yamaha Samyatamaham. Amongst all controllers I am Yama. In fact, I should take it. There is another category called time, architect of time mission. I can even take this that. So I will talk at that time. This is, Yama is a concept of ultimately the embodiment of ultimate control of many things. Kala. That's also there. Another word is also there. He says, amongst all controllers, I am the Yama. Because nobody can live a second less or a second more. Yama will take and go. Nobody, if the prarabdha karma is over, back off. Not a second. This Gopinath Munde has to go on that day when he was going to the airport, period. Not a second before, not a second later. It has to happen in that spot. So that is how it is ordained. Everything is ordained like that. So that Lord of all that is Yama. So among, you think of controller, you can see me there. I am the ultimate of that, which is Yama. So what he says, Purodasam cha mukyam mam vidhi partha brihaspati. Among the Purohits. So there are Manushyaloka Purohits and there are Devaloka Purohits. So he is Devaloka Purohits and Brihaspati is the chief Purohit of the Deva. So in this, order, pecking order, he is at the very high end. So that's why that is being used here. He says, Purodasam cha mukyam mam vidhi partha brihaspati. This is what I was saying. 12 Adityas, 11 Rudras and 8 Vasus, which makes it 31. Indra and Prajapati, these form the 33 main gods. So that's what you, amongst them all these are part of it. Which you see that. So 12, here the names. The 12 Adityas names are here. Amshuhu, Data, Indraha, Aryama, Vivashwan, Bhagaha, Parjanyaha, Tvashta, Mitra, Vishnu, Varunaha and Pusha. He says, I am the Vishnu. Amongst these 12 forms of Aditya. 49 Maruts, and Marichi is the chief among them. Of course, the sun and moon is talked about in Prashna Upanishad, first chapter of Prashna Upanishad. This is talked about as the two cardinal principles of the whole world of duality. That the world is nothing but duality. The duality is matter and energy. That's the ultimate form of duality. Rai, right? And prana. Rai is matter, prana is energy. Anything that is enlivened must have a combination of energy and matter. That's what E equal mc square anyway. The equivalence also is saying that in our modern science. So he talks about Surya as prana and moon as Rai. That's the first chapter of Prashna Upanishad. So all dualities are talked about, day and night, Uttarayana, Dakshinamurthy, everything is there. Chapter 1 of Prashna Upanishad. Then there are references to Veda and knowledge. Why I classified it like this, I want you to understand he has picked up very different kind of things which we don't imagine. He has taken animals, he has taken inanimate things, he has taken concepts. He says everywhere you have to see. So he has not just taken only Chetanas, he has taken Achetanas also. Everything he has taken. So Giram Asmi Ekam Aksharam. Giram Asmi Ekam Aksharam. Amongst the entire Vedic knowledge, I am that one Akshara, which is Omkara. Omkara is monosyllable. Om. Akara, Ukara, Makara makes the Omkara. He says amongst the entire, actually Om is used, in fact in chapter 18 of Bhagavad Gita, he talks about Om Tat Sat. Towards the end he talks about Om in 70, end of chapter 70, he talks about Om Tat Sat also. Om is used in karma. Om is used in upasana. People who do dhyana also use Om. In Karma Kanda it is used. Taittiriya Upanishad, there is a nice passage, I will read it.
Om is said to be Shabda Brahma.
So Shabda Brahma, Nada Brahma, everything it is being referred to. And in Vedanta Om, Mandukya Upanishad is only about Om. And so Om is everywhere. That's why Om is all encompassing. If you understand all this meaning of Om is a compact representation of the ultimate divinity. If only we understand all these and appreciate how it pervades. That's why he says, Giram Asmi Ekaksham, everywhere it is prominent. In Karma, Upasana and Vedanta, everywhere you will find Om. Yajnanam Japa Yajñosmi. He says, amongst all the yajnas, I am Japa Yajna. See, the idea is, Japa is the only one which anybody can do. Anybody can do. It doesn't prohibit anybody from doing. It doesn't prohibit on the basis of caste or religion or whether you are a male or female. Nothing. This is the only yajna which, that's why Nama Japa is the greatest thing that can happen. And Nama Japa is considered the greatest step for progress. So he says, Japanam, Yajnanam Japa Yajñosmi, because all can do this. There's a nice shloka. It says, Jakaraha Janma Vichchedaha, Pakaraha Papanashanaha, Janma Papa Haro Yasma Japa iti Uchyate Budai. Wise people say Japa, do Japa. Why? Because the Jakara indicates Janma Vichcheda. His birth and death has to be now cut. Right? And Pakara is for Papanashana. Papa Kshaya, let all other happen, you will become pure and then liberate. So he says, do Japa. That's what this shloka says actually. In a very concise way, it says, Jakaraha Janma Vichchedaha, Pakaraha Papanashanaha, Janma Papa Haro Yasmat. From that is why it is called Japa iti Uchyate Budai. So do Japa. Japa is a very nice thing, anybody can do. Actually, if you take Ashwamedha Yajna, only Kshatriyas can do. Others can't do. Ashwamedha Yajna, Rajashya Yaga, only Kshatriyas can do. There are certain yajnas only Brahmins can do. There are certain yajnas only Vaishyas can do. Like these, there are categories. Whereas Japa, anybody can do. And generally there is this classification where, ladies generally are not asked to do some of these Vedic rituals. All these controversies you can put away. That's why he says, Yajnanam Japa Yajñosmi. That's what he is saying. Vedanam Sama Vedosmi. See, this Veda, Atharva Veda came later. It's basically Trayi Vedyam. Everywhere they say Trayi Vedyam Nityam Triguna Gunamatyam in Shivananda Shloka like that. 3 Vedas. Now, the largest and the earliest of them is Rig Veda. 10 mandalas, 10,773 mantras. The second largest is Yajurveda. About 5,500 mantras. 5,500 and odd, I think. Nearabouts. And the third is Samaveda, which is about 3,800 mantras. But what happens is, the mantras, if you look at the unique mantras in Yajur and Sama, they are less. In fact, it is very less in Sama. It is the Rig Veda mantras which are in Samaveda. And I think 70% of Yajurveda, 60 to 70% maybe, I read it, maybe from Rig Veda. The vast majority of Samaveda is Rig Veda. So in a way, Samaveda is nearly a subset of the Rig Veda, because there is a mantras are from there. But these 3 had a different purpose. Rig Veda is used to invoke the God. So you have to offer an agent. See, if you call somebody at home, look at today's thing, then we can map it on that. You want to call somebody, right? Home. You have a lot of reverence to somebody. So you tell very nice of them, you say, I'll be blessed if you come home. If your foot falls on my house, I am blessed. We are not flattering. In real bhava we are saying, he was my well-wisher, he was my annadata. So I will say, I will be greatly blessed if you can come. This is what we do. And when he comes, or he or she, or that person or the group of person whom you call, you give them good food. You take care of that whole ritual of how do you prepare it properly, give it without the slightest way of making them unhappy. All that we do. Then at the end of it, we very thankful to them. We praise them even more because I am blessed. This is a normal pantha. That is exactly the pantha in Vedas, in Karma Kanda. So the Rig Vedas invoke. All the hymns are used to invoke the gods. Yajurveda is all this yajna, which is actually making the offering. So there are do's and don'ts, proper ways, who should sit where, what mantras, when, who should do, who is responsible for what. So good project management things are there. So that is the middle part, which is the Samaveda. Yajurveda. Samaveda is praising them with beautiful songs. And anybody who has heard pure Samaveda will understand how attractive and how compelling is Samaveda. So he says, in fact in Taittiriya Upanishad, I will quote it. Taittiriya Upanishad, when this person goes to the heights of ecstasy, he sings Samaveda only. The end of Taittiriya Upanishad is a Samaveda. Samagana. I have to put it that way. Yes. Etat Samagayan Aste, there is a nice way he goes out of ecstasy. So that is why I think Samaveda is so good. It's after all Rigveda in a very nice format which is so good to hear. So he says, and then within Sama there is a Brihat Sama. I don't know the details again, but Brihat Sama Tata Samnam Gayatri Chandasamam. So this can be understood in two different ways. Chandas is the Chandas Shastra, which is the science of meters. Anushtup, Brigati, Pankti and all this. Gayatri is a very special, it's a form of Anushtup. Anushtup is 4 into 8, 32, but Gayatri is 3 into 8, 24. And there are sometimes the one last part, Akshara is not uttered, so 23, there are very technical details. If you look at it like that, he says, I am the Gayatri among these Chandas, that's one way to understand. Chandas also means Veda. Another meaning of Chandas is Veda. If you read Panini, Vyakarna, Chandas always refers to the Vedic part, right? Not the Vyavahara part. So, Gayatri Chandasam also means that I am the Gayatri Chandasam Mata. That's what. In Sandhyavana there is a mantra. I am the mother of all Vedas. Gayatri is the mother of all Vedas, and Vedic knowledge can give us that. So that's why he is saying Gayatri Chandasam. Aksharanam Akarosmi. Right? He says this. There are some special properties of A. You say A, U and Ma. Om is made of Akara, Ukara, Makara. You look at the movement of the lips and all that. A is, in fact, the entire gamut of your pronunciation will be actually contained in A. Because your closing is also part of, closing is a version of opening. Makara is closing. Right? So there are many ways people have actually understood why Akara is actually a universal set of all, sounds and the whole phonetic that we have developed. That's why it says Aksharanam Akarosmi. Amongst the samasas, there are these 4 samasas, Tatpurusha, Bahuvrihi, Dvandva and Karmadharaya. So he says, I am the Dvandva of amongst the samasas. Adhyatma Vidya Vidyanam. Of all the knowledge, I am the knowledge of the self. That's why in Paravidya and Aparavidya is a great subject matter in all Upanishads, more especially in Mundakopanishad. Shaunakaha Mahashalaha Angirasam Papracha Kasmin Vijnate Sarvomitam Vijnatam Bhavati. By knowing that, tell me what is that I should know. By knowing that I will be known of everything. For which Angiras replied, Para and Apara, all the Veda, Gita, everything that you have learnt are all Apara. He just brackets them under Apara. Knowing yourself is Para. So Atma Vidya is the ultimate. If you know Atma Vidya, that is a superset of all Vidya. How do you say that? Because all Vidyas cannot remove your experiences of pain and pleasure. Pain and pleasure cannot be removed by, the highest degree you can take, the greatest scientific inquiry you have made. Pain and pleasure cannot be removed. Birth and death cannot be removed by any knowledge. So the world of duality can be removed only by Atma Vidya. All other Vidyas will be within this governing paradigm of duality. Duality can be birth and death, pain and pleasure, disappointment and success, happiness and sadness. All Vidyas rotate within that. It's only Atma Vidya which gives you the escape velocity to go out of that. That is why of all the Vidyas, I am the Atma Vidya, is what he is saying.
What is Atharva Veda?
See, I have honestly not read much, but whatever little I have understood, Sage Vyasa only reclassified some portions of this three-part classification and segregated a set of ideas which are much more useful in the world of Vyavahara. So, lots of things which are useful for the Vyavahara are all part of the Atharva Veda. So it is a classic. So Vedavyasa had only classified it in a more systematic way. So Atharva Veda are all part of the three Vedas only. For the purpose of a little bit of classification in a systematic way, and he required that even this portion must be preserved. So you assign people to protect. Once you segregate it and assign responsibilities, the chances of that being protected and preserved and propagated can be higher. I think it is more of that. That's whatever little I have understood. But I am sure there is more than this. So in Taittiriya Upanishad, this is that. It says, Om iti Brahma, Om iti idagum sarvam, Om ityetadanugritiya smava apyo shravayetya shravayanti, Om iti samani gayanti, Ogum shomiti shastrani shagum santi, Om itvaryu pratigaram pratigranati, Om iti brahma prasauti, Om ityagnihodram anujanati, Om iti brahmana pravakshyannaha, brahmopa apnavaniti, brahmaivopa apnoti. He says, what are all things in an yajna? How, if something has to be given, you have to say with Om. Something is approved to be taken with Om. Something is allowed to be offered as, Ahuti by Om. There are Advaryu, all those people are there. Advaryuhu pratikaram pratigranati. By uttering Om. Om Shom. Ogum Shom. Om Shom is what he has to say before he make an offering. So in karma, this is showing. In Taittiriya Upanishad, you will see the reference of Om again, where it talks about it is in, larger meanings of Om and all that. I thought I would just. This is Samagana. Samagaya Naste. It's a very nice Samagana. I want to utter Samagana for you because maybe, I have an expert here, he can do it. He is very good in Samagana. He is a Samayati actually. But anyway, this is the end of Taittiriya Upanishad. The Taittiriya Upanishad, after he says, Asman Loka Pretya, after leaving this world, what happens? Etamannamayam upasankramya, it crosses this Annamayam Atma, this, cross body, sheath of body. Etam pranamayam atmanam upasankramya, etam manomayam atmanam upasankramya, etam vijnanamayam atmanam upasankramya, etam anandamayam atmanam upasankramya. This person has crossed all these 5 layers. Annamayam atma, pranamayam atma, vijnanamayam atma, manomayam atma, vijnanamayam atma, anandamayam atma. Everything he. All Panchakoshas he stepped aside. He could go beyond that. Right? Upasankramya is cross. Sankramana is, right? Is crossing a rekha or a line or something. This way he said Makara Sankramana. The 14th of April is called Makara Sankramana because it crosses Makara into Makara. Sankramana is crossing. So he has crossed all these. Iman lokan kamani kamarupyanu sancharan etat samagayan aste. So in his form of ecstasy he started singing Samagana. What is the Upanishad ends like that. He says etat samagayan aste, and there are Samagana requires a longer uttering. That's why number 3 is there. You have to matra of 3. So he says ha uha uha u ahamannam 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 ahamannado. This is 2. So 2 matra. Ahamannado, Ahamannadaha, Ahag shloka krita. I am the poet of this shloka. He says, I out of ecstasy I am making this shloka, is what he is saying. Ahag shloka krita, Ahag shloka krita, Ahag shloka krita. And that is the shloka he says. Ahamasmi pratamacharutasya purvam devebhyo amritasya na vai yoma dadati saideva ma vaha ahamannamanna madantamadmi aham vishvam bhuvanamabhya bhavam Suvarna Jyoti ya evam veda Upanishad. So he finally concludes, I am now in ecstasy. So this is the power of Samadhi. People recite Samagana. Particularly people recite with such a authenticity. It's stunning. You can keep on hearing actually. It's so good. Gayatri, you all know. Then he goes into the next category of it's all different shlokas, but anyway. There are references of rishis and seers. He says, Maharshinam Brihuhu Aham. So of all those 7 first rishis who came out of Brahma, Brihu is very special. He even hit Vishnu. He actually tested Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva of their perseverance. There are Purana stories actually. And this Taittiriya Upanishad Bhakti I just uttered, the second says, Brihurvaiva Runihi Varunam Vitaram Upasasara Adihi Bhagavo Brumheti. He went to Brihu Vaiva Runihi. Brihu is actually Varuna's son. Varunam Pitaram Upasasara. He went to his father Varuna. Adihi Bhagavo Brumheti. I want to know what is this Brahma. Please tell me. That Brihu comes there also. He comes in the third also. It's a beautiful Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad. So amongst the Maharshi, so there are different technical terms, Devarshi and Maharshi and so on. There is a Puranic angle to all these technical terms actually. Then Devarshi Namcha Narada. Amongst the Devarishi I am Narada. Because Narada is a very popular of all the rishis. Naram Dadati iti Narada. One who gives Jnana. Naram Dadati iti Narada saha. So anyway, he says Devarshi Namcha Narada. Siddhanam Kapilo Munihi. Amongst the Siddhas, I am Kapila. Actually, if you read Bhagavatam, there are 28 avatars, I think, not just 10.
24.
24 avatars.
Out of Kapila is one.
Kapila is one. Kapila Devagoti, if you read the third skanda, you get all these. Kapila is a very special person. He is Sakshat Vishnu Avatar. That's why he has included him in the list. So he says, Siddhanam Kapilo Munihi. Muninam Apyaham Vyasaha. Amongst the Munis, he says, I am Vyasa. Manana Shilaha is Muni. All these words are technical words. One who is Manana Shila is called Muni. One who is extraordinary in his power of Manana. Manana Shilaha Munihi. Shravana Manana Nididhyasa. That Manana, deep contemplation, he is extraordinarily good. Such people are called Muni. So Muninam Apyaham Vyasaha. Kavinam Ashuna Kavihi. Amongst the Kavis, Ashuna is Shukra actually. There are all again Puranic references are there. I still read a lot to get authentically to the bottom of this. I know only superficially this. Kavinam Ashuna Kavihi. Pitrinam Aryama Chasmi. Amongst the Pitrus in the Pitriloka, the most important is Aryama. So he says, you can see me there. In the world of Pitrus, you can see Aryama is an example in which you can see me, is what he is saying. Pitrinam Aryama Chasmi and Pragaladas Chasmi Daityana. See this Kashyapa Prajapati had 2 wives, Diti and Aditi. So Aditi's sons are all Adityas and all the Devas are coming from that side. Diti's sons are called Daityas, which are all Asuras. So amongst the Asuras, he says the shining lamp is Prahlada. He says the reference that I can take is Prahlada. Prahlada's Chasmi Daityanam. I mean, read Bhagavatam, you understand the greatness of Prahlada and the kind of thing. It's an extraordinary rendering there in Bhagavatam. So he says Prahlada's Chasmi Daityanam. Then there are some references of Avatara Purushas and human beings. Ramaha Shastra Bhritamaham. Those, whenever you see people with Shastra, weapons, the Lord of weapons is Rama. He says, you can see me there. He says, Rama is a Lord of weapons. So, whenever you see people with weapons, you should see Rama, and then through that Rama you should see me, is what he is saying. Ramaha Shastra Bhritamaham Naranam cha Naradipam. See, in our culture, king was revered as God. King was revered as a direct agent of God. That was credibility for a king. And king also measured up to that credibility. I mean, the greatest king that we can get inspired is Janaka. Janaka was such a extraordinary, referral. He could have actually said, amongst the Narajipati, I am Janaka, he could have said. But Janaka is such an embodiment of his kingship. And in Bhagavad Upanishad, the kind of conversation he had with Yajnavalkya, stunning. So these people were people looked upon king as embodiment of God, and their kings lived up to that. So Naranam Naradipati says, in king you should be able to see God, and they were very godly. It was like that. And that is what he is saying. Naranam cha Naradipam Vrishninam Vasudevosmi. One of the descendants of Yadu is Vrishna. Vrishni. So Vrishna Vamsa is what Krishna is. So he says Vrishninam Vasudevosmi. That's what he says.
Nara is king, sir. Narana.
Nara is human beings. Naradipa is the lord of the human being. He is the king. Naranam Adhipatihi Naradipaha. Naranam Adhipaha Naradipaha. Tam Naradipam. Pandavanam Dhananjaya. So he says, in Pandavas I am in you. And this is the greatest psychological trick which Krishna has played on Arjuna. He wants him to fight. He has played a great psychological trick on him, saying, amongst the Pandavas I am you. Pandavanam Dhananjaya is what he is saying.
Great motivator.
Psychologist, great psychologist. Yogeshwara Krishna. He is Yogeshwara. Then there is a long list of nature. Animate, inanimate. That's the only way, Chichakti, Chetana, Rupa, Jarashakti, Jaratmika is embodied in this shloka, in these examples. He says, here all these Samudra Matana is there. All those which came out of Samudra Matana, 14 things came out. Kalidasa wrote Varamangala Ashtakam. Kalidasa wrote stotra called Varamangala Ashtakam. Early morning after you get up, what are the good things that can happen to you? In that, I think 7th shloka, he narrates these 14 holy things which came out of, Samudra Matana. He says, let them do good to me. So I found the list there. Everything you can find in Wikipedia. It's very easy now. I knew it is there. I go into Google or Wikipedia, I get it. It's one good thing about the technology. I got the Varamangala Stotra straight away. The moment I knew it, I checked and then it came. I don't have it here, but I'm just saying. So, Uchchaishravas, this is a flying horse which came out of, this Samudra Matana. So, amongst all the horses, I am Uchchaishravas, Ashwanam. Among the horses, I am Uchchaishravas. And understand, Vidhi, know it to be like that. And Mam, Vidhi Mam, Amrutodbhavam, it came out of the churning, right? So, Kaustuba, Kamadukka is also there, Indravada is there, everything is here. The list, 3-4 of them are here. Dhenu Namasmi Kamadukka. Amongst all the cows, I am Kamadhenu. So this is again from Samudra Matana. So that is this list. Airavatam Gajendranam. See, here white elephant means something. In Devalaga, white elephant means something. Airavatam Gajendranam. Amongst the amongst the Indras of all elephants, I am Airavata. The usage is like that, Gajendranam. Sarpanam asmi Vasukihi, Anantaschasmi Naganam. See, there is a Sarpa and Naga. Both are there in our reference. At a simple level, both are snakes. But there are apparently some differences between the two. There are 2-3 dimensions on which I read the differences. One dimension is Sarpas are venomous, and Nagas are non-venomous. That is one dimension I have read. Okay. Second dimension I have read is Sarpas have single hood and Nagas have multi-hood. So Ananta is 1,000-hooded. Right? So that is the second dimension which I have read. Third dimension I have read is Sarpa. The word Sarpa comes from the Sanskrit root Sip. Sip is to crawl. Actually Sarpa comes from Sip. Sip is the dhatu, to crawl. So another angle I have read somewhere, they quote Mahabharata and all those references, is Sarpas are always snake form. Whereas Nagas can take, although they may have a tail, they can take other human forms. There's a Nagaloka, all those are there. They can speak, and so like that there are different versions. But anyway, he has taken the category of Nagas and say I am Ananta amongst the Nagas, and he has taken the category of Sarpas. See, he has also made a Saiva Vaishnavic balance here. Vasuki is on the Shaiva side and Ananta is on the Vaishnava side. He has made a perfect balance there. Because Vasuki is the earring for Shiva. And Shiva has so many deadly snakes. Actually, one of them is Vasuki. It is his earring or something. I mean, hand ring, I think.
Vasuki, is it a cobra?
It's a venomous snake. If you go by that definition, single-hooded. There's always a snake, which was used for Samudra Matana anyway. This Vasuki came from Samudra Matana also. It is in that story anyway. Mriganam cha mrigendroham. Amongst all animals, I am the lord of the animals, which is a lion. He says, among the animals, I am the lion. So it's a best-in-class kind of descriptions which are going on. Mriganam cha mrigendroham. Vainateyas cha pakshinam. Amongst all birds, I am the king of the birds, which is Vainateya, which is the hawk or Garuda, whatever. Remember, it's the versions of that. Basically, I am the eagle. So I am the lord of the birds. I am the lord of the animals. Is what he is saying. Vainateyas cha pakshinam. Jashanam makarascha. Amongst all these aquatic animals, I am the shark. So that's what he is saying there. Jashanam makarascha. Meruhu shikarinamaham. Of all the peaking mountains, Shikarina. Amongst the mountain ranges which are all peaking, I am the Meru Parvata, which is the ultimate. There are different again, historians and people who are interested in this kind of Aparavidya do a lot of research. They say, I believe there is one person from Tamil Nadu who said Meru Parvata, the descriptions he read, and he says he went to Scandinavian country and by chest he went around the Meru Parvata. He said the descriptions that are matching to that, all that I heard somewhere. Anyway, of all the peaks, I am the Meru peak. So anyway, Stavaranam Himalaya. Of all these mountains, here Stavara means mountain ranges with plenty of vegetations. That is one meaning. Secondly, Stira. Hills don't move. Stavaranam Himalaya. Ashwatha Sarva Vrikshanam. Of all the trees, I am this majestic Ashwatha Vriksha. Ashwatha Vriksha and Vata Vriksha can live for thousands of years actually.
Ashwatha is what, banyan or peepal?
No, Pipa. Vata Vriksha is banyan. Ashwatha is Pipa. So he says, amongst the Vrikshas, I am the Ashwatha Vriksha. Ashwatha Sarva. See, there is a philosophical meaning. Chapter 15, we start talking about Ashwatha Vriksha. There is another way to see. Sanskrit is such a powerful language. You can actually. Shwa is tomorrow. Ashwa is there is no guarantee of tomorrow. Right? So you say, hey, this tree actually reminds you that. One person has interpreted like that. I have read somewhere. I think Aishankara's Bhashya is there, I think. Ashwatha is Shwa is tomorrow. Ashwa is
No tomorrow.
what is this tomorrow? Tomorrow is a very relative term. So this Vriksha can
Forever.
Yeah. So it's a Aswatha Vriksha. It's a very amongst all water bodies. This is this story is here. The story of Bhagirath is here. The word Sagara, you know how it came? The 60,000 Sagara Puttras actually dug in search of their, yeah, and that's how the Sagara came. So that there is a big story behind it. Anyway, he says, of all the water bodies you can think of, I am the ocean. That is the majestic, the bigness and the awe of the beauty. This is what is being conveyed there. Srotasam asmi Jahnavi. Srotas is a stream, which is a moving one. There are different versions. Amongst the moving water bodies, I am Jahnavi, which is Ganga. Is what he is saying. Amongst those moving water bodies, I am Ganga. Masanam Margashirshoham. Amongst the months, see, he has taken inanimate concepts, everything he has taken, because he doesn't want to leave an iota. See, this choice is so dramatic. We thought we'll take examples from people and all that, or some devas and some gods. You see how much he has gone. He has spread it, cast his wide so net to drive home the idea. Everywhere it is divinity. In concepts you should see divinity. In ideas you should see divinity. In thought you should see divinity. He has gone to a plane which is beyond material plane. These are concepts. Masa is just a concept, no? It's not a physical entity. Still he has taken that. Masanam Margashirshoham. This month of, the last month of the Dakshinayana is Margashirsha. The last month of Dakshinayana is Margashirsha.
Which comes in what month?
Which is 15th of December to 14th of January.
Basically spring.
No, that he has come. Ritunam Kusumakaraha. That he has come. Vasantakala. Kusumakaraha. One which is full of flowers. This is Vasantakala. Of all the 6 Ritus, I am that Ritu in which you will see the expression of happiness. Vasantakale samprapte. Kakak kako pikap pikaha. So that Vasantakala is what he is talking about. That here, Ritunam Kusumakaraha. I mean, there are different ways. I don't want to get into the intellectual degree of justifying. In this chapter, I don't want to justify why he chose. That's to me a very inferior idea. I can try it. A very limited idea. I think that's not the spirit. The spirit we have to see is, he has said, look around, because he took best in class. Look around everywhere, you should see me. And he wants to demonstrate it by examples here and there. That is the spirit. The rest are all intellectual juggling. Because there are people who say, why Margashirsha? Because it is the Brahma Muhurta and all they are all there. I don't think we should worry too much about that. The Sukshma here is, look at me, even in concepts you can see me. So in the month of Margashirsha, you should be able to feel very divinely is what he is suggesting. That's how it is. One more and then Architect of Time Machine is the title I have given, because it's all about time. This is not Sri Krishna's title, these are my titles. Kalaha Kalayata Maham. These are very powerful ideas actually. See, Kalayata, there is measurement. Of all measurements, he says, what he is saying is, of all measurements, I am the time. Time is the greatest measurement. Think about it. That's why this German saying that nobody can cross the river twice. There is one saying that nobody can cross the same river twice. You know what is the meaning of it? It says,
time is gone.
The water that flows will be different. When you cross at a particular second, there is a certain combination of water. You cannot cross because that combination will never come. That Sukshma is there in that statement. Nobody can cross the river the second time is the ultimate meaning of, the ultimate measurement is time. Time is the only measurement in science also which can be only monotonically flowing forward. There is nothing like going backward. That's why he says, amongst all kinds of measurements and all that, I am the time. But time is such a powerful and a very all-imposing idea for us. So he says, Kalaha Kalayatamaham. Kalaha is Yama. Right? There is this nice story. I want to tell this story. You know, this is, I don't know which Purana where it comes. I have heard from someone and it has registered in me. Many things have registered in me only like that. So there was a place where there was some yajna happening. Some devas are there and doing yajna. Yamadharmaraja comes there and there is one eagle sitting outside the venue there is one, I think squirrel or something. I think squirrel. So as this Yamadharmaraja comes into the Yagashala, he peeps at the squirrel very deeply, intensely, and then goes in. So the eagle was looking at all these. Eagle thought, first of all, why is Yamadharmaraja coming here? All the more he is looking at this small creature, helpless creature very intensely. That means this creature's end is coming. So it thought of a plan. So he told that squirrel that you cannot go far away because you are limited. This Yamadharmaraja very intensely stared at you and went. If you want, you climb my back. I'll go far away and leave you somewhere. So the squirrel also felt very convinced of this idea. So the squirrel latched onto this eagle. It flew far away, and then in one cave, some far off place, it left the squirrel and came back. And then after it came back, the Yamadharmaraja came out. He was looking for the squirrel, it was not there. So now the eagle was very happy. Finally, I know what the story is. So the Yamadharmaraja asked the eagle, where is this squirrel? So this eagle got even more confirmed of this. He said, why do you want to know? He says, no, my worry is in a far off distant place in a cave, its end has to happen. How will it go there? That is Kala. That is the story may look jovial, but there is a deep idea here. The eagle, in all intention, thought savior, that is the Yamadhuta now. Look at that story. The eagle is Yamadhuta, but it had no intention of that kind. It thought, I will save, I will help. Nobody can do it. Kala Kalayatamaham. The measurement is over. So it will happen. That is the real story. All our story is like that. We will have to be here until that time when we are supposed to be here. No science can do anything about it. Science are all very at lower level, it can operate. There are much higher level ideas. It is not possible. Ahameva akshayaha kalaha. I will not destroy, but I will destroy everything. So this whole annihilation is me, but I will not be annihilated, is what he is saying. So don't get worried about all these. Everything is form of divinity. Everything is expression of divinity. That is the wisdom of life. Everything is expression of divinity. Ahameva akshayaha kalaha. Ahameva akshaya kalaha. Mrityuhu sarvaharaschaham. In all death, I am that concept of death. When everything is finished, even that is divinity. All these stories, all these are related to one another. That's why I put all of them and call it as time machine. Right? Sarganam, this whole chakra. In this whole chakra, Sarganam Adihi Antascha Madhyamcha Eva Aham Arjuna. This whole circle of coming and going. Not only this birth and death. Anything which starts, it pervades or it sustains and it gets off. First shloka, what he said is the same thing. He said, Sarganam Adihi Antascha Madhyam Che Eva Aham Arjuna. So that is what he is saying. There are a few more, one or two lists, which we will, already 7:34. We will stop here, we will continue in the next class. Thank you.